This is going to be such a good one. I'm so excited. Julie Brar, how are you?
I'm great.
That's amazing. So you're an award-winning holistic nutritionist and a regenerative health
practitioner.
Amazing. And you have so much information. Your Instagram account is awesome. I saw you post some things about parasites.
Loads.
And we've never done a dedicated podcast on parasites. So you guys, this one is going to be freaking amazing. I think so many people have parasites and they don't even realize it. I was one of those people. So we have a lot of great questions for you. But before we get into that topic, I just want to ask you about a couple of your hacks. Because when you came here today, you were like talking about sleep hacks and different biohacks. So in your opinion, like let's touch on sleep for a second. You're wearing an Aura ring.
Yep.
How important is sleep? How important is that we get proper sleep for our health?
Sleep is the foundation for health.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's an accident of nature that we are supposed to spend a third of our lives sleeping. So yeah, it's really, really important. The most important aspect of sleep is actually deep sleep. Mm-hmm. So most people don't get enough deep sleep. So that's why I track my sleep. I want to know that I'm getting enough. And if I'm not getting enough, I want to figure out, biohack my way to get more deep sleep so that I, am getting the proper, rest. Because what's happening in deep sleep, that's when our body's like taking out the trash from the day. That's when our brain is resetting. Our whole system is rebalancing itself. So
if we don't do that, it can really affect our mental health, right? And how we feel. And then I feel like that can really lead to like bad habits. If you wake up feeling like crap, it's easy to like just want to eat crap food and just a domino effect, right?
Well, what's happening is so the most important thing is what time you go to sleep, right? So our body's on this 24-hour clock. And we're tied to nature. So if we don't go to bed at the proper time, we can miss out on very vital parts of our sleep. So the most important part of sleep for balancing our endocrine system is from 9 p.m. to midnight. So anybody who's going to bed at midnight is missing that very, very critical piece.
Yeah, I've heard about this before. I interviewed somebody that's big in the health and wellness space in Las Vegas a few months ago. And she said like the sleep hours are key. She always makes sure she's asleep between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. So like that falls in line almost with that too. Wow, it's just like a mother nature thing. Those hours are like it does something for us.
Yeah. And so when your endocrine system can only reset between 9 p.m. and midnight. So if you miss that sleep, if you go to bed at midnight, that's it. Your endocrine system is not resetting that day.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah. So endocrine system, for people who don't know, your endocrine system is in charge of all your hormones, your entire hormonal balance. And so if you miss that sleep, you are
and if
SOL.
You're constantly missing that sleep, right?
Then
you're
you're
constantly stressed out.
Yeah. So then what's happening is that when you're missing that vital sleep, your hormones aren't balancing correctly.
Wow.
And it's going to throw off things like your hunger hormones. So let's say you go to bed super late and you wake up the next day and you're having a really, really hard time. You're getting all these sugar cravings, you're getting cravings for like junk food, and you're just like heavily caffeinated. What's actually happening is because you didn't get the proper sleep, your hormones are out of balance.
Wow, crazy. Okay. Yeah. Any other hacks? Before we touch on parasites, which I can't wait.
So the time that you go to bed is really, really important. I mean, I have a friend that ever since college, she always goes to bed at like 3 a.m. Her rhythm is she goes to bed at 3 a.m. She wakes up at 11 a.m. So her entire like adult life, she's never had proper endocrine sleep. So who knows what the long-term health implications of that will be,
yeah.
Right?
Okay.
But if somebody's like, say someone's trying to lose weight, my first question always is, how's your sleep? How's your sleep? How's your diet? If their sleep isn't on point, I know that their hormones are out of balance. And here's the thing, when you don't get enough sleep, your body actually perceives it as a state of emergency. Wow. Right? So let's say you only get like 6 hours sleep. Right? If you get less than 6 hours of sleep for a week consecutive, your body goes into insulin resistance.
Wow.
1 week.
No way.
So all those people that are out there and they're not getting enough sleep,
going crazy, wonder why, right?
And what happens is now your body's in a state of stress.
Like fight or flight kind of?
it's like, oh my God, we're in survival mode. So it's not going to shed weight. When your body's trying to survive, it is not going to release weight.
Holds on, right?
Yeah, it's also not going to get pregnant. For all the women out there who are trying to get pregnant and are having a hard time getting pregnant,
That might be a factor.
you have to really look at your sleep cycles and your hormonal balance and see what's going on with your body. And if your hormones are out of balance, your body will not, like, it's just harder. Right?
Wow.
So sleep is so critical.
It's almost more important than diet, which is crazy because diet has truly changed my life so much. It reversed all my health problems going raw vegan.
Yeah.
Like I had so many health issues, but it's up there. If not more important, it's right up there, right? Because you can be eating the cleanest diet, but if you're not sleeping and not prioritizing your sleep, it can really mess with you.
Well, because it's going to be throwing off your hormonal balance, and it's going to create a situation where your body's going to hold on to weight. It's going to be in insulin resistance. It's your cortisol levels are going to be higher, right? And so your body's not going to release weight in that state.
So what if people can't sleep? Like I know a lot of people suffer with insomnia. They have stressful jobs. They do a lot in the day. Then they lay down and they're like, I can't unwind and fall asleep. And then you can get more stressed out.
I have Biohacks.
Because you're like, I should be asleep. And you get freaking stressed out about not sleeping.
I have biohacks for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've used one of the biohacks I use is like, I call it my sleep potion.
Yeah.
I've taken it now for almost 5 years. It helps your body to naturally produce melatonin.
Wow.
So you actually, I on average spend 2.5 to 3 hours a night in deep sleep. Most adults spend about an hour to maybe 75 minutes.
That's it? Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I've like biohacked my way to deep sleep for a longer period of time. And I know that when I'm doing that, my body is having a chance to rebuild.
Okay.
Right. So I've got like different I've got biohacks for sleep.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just cleaning up your sleep hygiene, right? Getting away from screens an hour before bed. So that means your TV, your phone, all your devices. Use that time to do some deep breathing, meditation, journaling, read to your kids if you've got kids, right?
Yeah.
But like really we have to adult ourselves to better sleep. So you're a mom. What do you do for your kids when they have to go to bed?
It's chaos. They don't want to go to bed. They're running around.
But like, do they have a routine?
Yeah, we do have a bit of a routine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we have to have a routine too.
Okay. Yeah. I got to get more on these routines.
You got to have a routine.
I got to smarten up. Yeah. And one thing I want to talk to you about, so your health, you're vegan, you've transformed your health. I think you reversed hypothyroidism, right? And something else, a couple other things.
Hashimoto's.
So before the parasite talk, I'd love to hear like what health problems you were dealing with and how you reversed them.
So I had Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism.
Yeah.
And I'm sharing this not as a TMI, but just so that your viewers understand that when it comes to autoimmune conditions, there's a multitude of factors that trigger autoimmune. And so for me, what triggered my autoimmune situation was I was married before and my husband passed away.
No way.
From a heart attack.
How old was he?
He was 51.
Wow.
This was 11 years ago. So I can talk about it super calmly now. I've had loads of therapy and I've spent a lot of time crying.
Wow.
No. But what that did to my body was it completely shook my whole system, like rocked my world. And it was so traumatizing. Like we were talking about sleep, how you had a hard time sleeping for years because your kids, right? Like I feel bad for all the mamas because they have their kids that are waking them up in the middle of the night, and the more kids you have, the longer it happens for.
Yeah.
So after that event, I couldn't sleep for like months and months and months.
Wow.
And months. And it actually completely ran down my adrenals. And in the process, so we have, the HPA axis, the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, and our thyroid is also a part of our endocrine system. So all these glands, they talk to each other, they support each other, and when one gland becomes very, very problematic, the other glands will try to help. So in the case of the thyroid, this is what was explained to me with a naturopath, is that when my thyroid became when my adrenals became really run down, my thyroid tried to step in and it like burned out both the glands.
Wow.
And so about a year and a half-ish after his passing, I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's. And it came on all because of this trauma. And I was plant-based at the time. I thought I was doing really good with my diet.
Yeah.
But I realized with all the knowledge that I have now that I wasn't doing that good.
No.
No. I mean, I drank alcohol. I drank coffee. I would occasionally indulge in things, right? Like, you know, I did cooked food, right? Like, I wasn't as conscious as I thought I was. And so that, coupled with the stress that I was going through and all the accumulation of all the years of not great habits, it was like my whole system crashed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank God you're okay. Sorry that happened.
Yeah.
And then so what, cleaning up how you ate, it reversed the problem? You don't have that anymore?
Yeah. So about 5 years ago, I went on a protocol for 6 months solid, and it was really focused on micronutrient dense superfoods, raw, gut health. Addressing parasites was one aspect of it. And at the end of the 6 months, I was off medication. I started to feel like myself again. So when my symptoms were really bad, I was living with brain fog. I had chronic fatigue. Like, I was just constantly in a fog. Like, I couldn't think straight. I'd wake up in the morning and I couldn't stand up straight. My joints hurt so bad.
Wow.
I felt like an 80-year-old woman. And it was not a good situation. And so I did a 6 month solid protocol. At the end of it, it was like the brain fog was gone. The depression was gone. I started to feel like myself again. I started to get my energy back. I was thinking clearly. And most importantly for me, I knew the medications that I was taking weren't helping. So I was able to get off the meds.
Good.
And I've been medication free ever since.
Amazing. Congrats.
Yep.
Wow. And imagine you didn't change paths and you didn't, change your lifestyle. Who knows where you'd be today, right?
Well, life is interesting. I think every really challenging thing that happens to us is a blessing in disguise, because I was forced to kind of like really wake up in ways that I wasn't like wanting to wake up necessarily. And I look at, this may sound weird, but I look at my husband's passing as a blessing, because I've been able to learn, like he inspired me now to learn what I know about health so that I can help others. The whole situation of getting the diagnosis inspired me into action to try to figure out, like, once I started taking the medications and I realized that it wasn't working, I went on the search. And as a result of that, I've been able to acquire all this knowledge that can help others.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
you can help us so much today with the parasites and with your story, with everything you've shared so far too.
Parasites.
Did you, when you went on your 6 month thing, when you started to clean things up, did you experience parasites? Did you have parasites?
I did, but I didn't I've done multiple different types of parasite protocols, and everyone has been different, like subtly different. One of the things I will say is that I've become a lot more savvy to the way that parasites work.
So I went raw in 2016, like I said before, reversed all my health problems. A couple years in, I saw a YouTube video about enemas for cleansing. I don't even think I thought about doing it for a parasite, but I'd never seen parasites in my life. I had no signs and symptoms of them. I looked and felt extremely healthy, and I did an enema and I saw parasites, and it was the craziest trip ever. It was very hard to deal with at first. I was like, this is disgusting. Then I heard they're like active in the night, and I didn't even think I could fall asleep. I was driving myself crazy. So I did like a cleanse, and I did more and more enemas, and I saw so many came out, all sorts of different ones, huge ones. And then I was thinking, like, how long has this been inside me? And I had no symptoms. So do you come across some people that are like that, like look and radiate health, but they might have that problem inside?
I think anyone who eats animal products, you got parasites.
And that's all my whole life was made
Yeah.
up of animal products, morning, noon, and night, until I went raw.
And so what happens is just because you switch the diet doesn't mean that they leave.
How do they stay in you like that?
You're the host.
Yeah.
That's like parasites need a host, and you're the host, and they're not going to leave
Yeah.
just because you say so, right?
Yeah.
I mean, oftentimes people will tell me, oh yeah, I went and I got a stool sample and it was negative. I'm like, yeah, of course it's going to be negative.
Mine always were in the past too. So
Yeah.
that's weird that you can come up negative at the stool sample things, but then still have them, right?
Because they're not leaving. They're not leaving. They're not leaving until you kick them out.
Yeah. Well, for me, the only way I ever saw them was doing enemas. And then, like I said, I did that cleanse, but still they would only come out when I did enemas. I don't know. Maybe they hold on for dear life, but when a water or coffee enema is coming through, like they have no choice but to just fall out, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've done colonics and had them come out. But I've also done like different herbal protocols and had them leave. I mean, one of my practitioner friends, she sent us a picture. She released a parasite that was like longer than her arm. She's like,
Yeah.
She's like,
no,
I
I've
don't
had
know.
really big ones like the same as that too.
I'm like, can we name it?
It's crazy. It's gross, right?
Well,
So how many of us have them? You think a lot of us have them?
everybody has them.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got like, if you used to eat meat and you don't eat meat anymore, but you never, like, I just stopped eating meat. Like I haven't eaten animal products in like 20 years.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. But I wasn't like, I just stopped eating animals. I never thought to do a parasite cleanse. And so when I really started to think about it and research it, and it was funny because like my current partner, my fiance, years ago when I was like struggling with my health stuff, he's like, I think you have parasites. I'm like, no, I don't. And then of course, like once I started to like, you know, get my certifications and learn more, then I was like, oh, I think I should see like what's up.
Yeah. So if someone's out there and they're like, how do I know if I have them then? Like for me, it was the enemas, but are there other ways that you think people can see if they have them? Or like what's an ideal, like for me, when I cleansed, I looked up parasite killing foods. So for me, that was like pineapple with the core juice, pumpkin seeds, garlic, onion, certain herbs. And I did a parasite free, like herbal cleanse too. But what's a way for people to sort of, you know, find out if they have them and get rid of them?
Well, so the first thing we want to go to is the body, right? So if someone's diet is very, very acidic and it like the parasites are drawn to the terrain within the body, right? And so let's put it this way. If a squirrel was dead in the street, what would happen to that squirrel?
Yeah, another animal would come and eat it.
No,
right?
but like if it just sat there.
Lots of bugs would go to
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
The parasite kingdom comes in to decompose, right? So in the human body, when our terrain is very toxic, when our cells are weak, that's when the parasites come in, right? They come in through certain foods, right? They're more likely to come through, you know, dairy, eggs,
Raw sushi, probably, right?
sushi. Yeah, sushi
Or
is
like
a big
pork, I've
fish,
heard.
pork.
Yeah.
I've seen scans.
But what if people are like, well, when you cook it, it gets rid of it? Is that true?
The idea of eating dead parasites is gross to me, but okay. Well, what if you miss one, right? And not everybody cooks their meat well done.
True.
Right? So the chances are very, very high. Now, I can't remember what the film is, but it's on Netflix. And they were talking about like some crazy percentage of the chicken in the States has parasites, has like salmonella. And yeah, I mean, people are buying it and they're cooking it, they're putting in their body.
And even sometimes big parasites, which you don't hear about too often, but I did interview somebody, and what sent her like plant-based vegan was on Thanksgiving years ago. They were preparing a turkey and they were like going to stuff it or like do something, and there was a big translucent parasite in it. Sorry, guys. This topic is a bit much, but it's a good topic. It's a topic we're interested in.
Yeah.
But yeah, wow, crazy.
So, I mean, you can get parasites from food. I mean, you can, like, you can even get parasites, like if you don't wash your fruits and vegetables properly.
Even from raw food too,
Yeah.
I've heard, or even from walking in the grass or touching doorknobs. There's other ways to get it than
so
from meat,
it's
right?
not exclusively animal products, but you can get them from water. You can get it from other people. If you have dogs or cats, you can get parasites from companion animals. And so you can get them a number of ways, but we have to look at the terrain within the body, right? So if someone's eating a very, very acid forming diet, which is lots of meat and dairy, lots of like grains and, you know, pastas and things like that, coffee, alcohol, all those things are very, very acidic, and they're in a state of stress. Their system is weakened, and that becomes the breeding ground for parasites, right? So the first thing we have to do if we want to deal with the parasites is we have to look at the terrain within the body and shift the internal terrain and start to come more onto the alkaline side of chemistry. Eat foods that leave alkaline ash residue in the body versus acid ash.
And what are some key foods for you with that?
Well,
green juice.
lots of green juices, you know, lots of like berries, things like watermelon and the citrus fruits are great. Grapes are actually the highest angstrom energy food on the planet.
Wow.
Yeah. The highest vibration food, like red grapes.
Red grapes? I did a grape cleanse once where I did 28 days and it felt like the deepest cleanse of my life. I felt great, but I didn't know that.
Yeah. So grapes are very, very astringent and they'll pull things out of the cells, right? So that's like shifting the terrain. And then in terms of like removing the parasites, like I usually use different types of herbal protocols, right? That's what the other thing to also keep in mind is that parasites are smart. They don't want to die. And so if you do the same thing over and over and over again, they get used to it. Right.
I've heard that they can even control like your cravings and your thoughts and stuff. I don't know if that's true, but
it's true.
I'm open-minded, maybe.
It's true. So I'm just in the midst of like completing a 90-day protocol, like, cause I do parasite cleanses on a regular basis, like probably at least 3 times a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. You think that's how often people should do them?
Yes.
I got to do another one.
So, I mean, I have dogs. I have 3 dogs, so I need to stay on top of it. Right. But, I remember like on the days that I had the biggest parasites releasing, like I had like a lot of emotional turmoil those days. I was like, why am I so like anxious? And boom, like I'm just releasing a bunch of parasites.
Wow.
Or I had like crazy cravings. Like I remember one day I was like at my desk, I'm like, I'm craving sugar. This is so weird. I don't crave sugar. And because I'm like one of those people, I'm one of those weird people that if I crave something sweet, I'll go have some berries.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of like used to the
me
raw
too.
thing. Right? So the fact that I was craving chocolate, I'm like, this is so weird.
Yeah.
So then I was going to make myself like this superfood chocolate shake. And I just happened to be messaging with a friend of mine who's also a practitioner. And I said to her, I'm really craving chocolate. I'm like, do you think that's the parasites? And like, I was about to stand up from my desk to go do the bidding of the parasites. And my friend's like, yes, though that's the parasites. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to sit right back down and get back to work.
Wow. Crazy. Well, we have to get them out. What do you think is like the best protocol for getting them out?
I like to start people gently first. So it's like we have to change the diet initially. I remember I had this client last summer and she came to me and she's like, yeah, I've done parasite cleanses. I'm like, okay, what was your diet like? She was like, well, I was eating fish and vegetables. I'm like, so you were putting the parasites back in as you were trying to get rid of them. Doesn't work, right?
That's not going to work for a detox. Then,
No,
right?
it's not.
No.
And it's just recognizing that certain things, like, they're not really food.
True.
Right? They're
Yeah.
not really food.
True.
So we do have to like do a little bit of a shift in our thinking first
Yeah.
to understand, like, what I teach my clients is how the body works.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is how your body works. This is what your cells need. This is what I'm recommending. I'm not going to force you to do it because you're a sovereign being, but I'm going to suggest that if your desire is to deal with the health issue, get rid of the parasites, you have to do something different than what you've been doing, right? So first thing is always diet. The other thing is a lot of people don't have open elimination pathways. So they're not even able to start on a parasite cleanse right away because they're not pooping on a regular basis. They're pooping like every 3 days and can't put someone like that on a parasite cleanse.
Crazy. I can't imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's people out there. I worked. I used to be in film, and I remember this woman that I knew who was a makeup artist, and she's like, "Yeah, I only go to the bathroom once a week."
I would be so moody. That's so crazy.
It's just insane.
Wow.
Yeah. So first thing is changing the diet, opening up the elimination pathways, and then I like to start people gently because, like, the herbs that are stronger, like, it can be really intense, right? And
I noticed that when I did my cleanse. Yeah. It can be intense. It can be hard to do.
Yeah. And so, I find that most people need support. Like, even for myself as a practitioner, I have other practitioners who are my supports, right? Like, we lean on each other. Like, we all do protocols together. So we kind of like check in, right? So the average person who's like going to work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, has kids at home, has a lot of stuff going on, like, it can be intense. So you need to make sure that you have like proper supports in place. And especially like if you're doing it the first time through, right?
Yeah. So. And what do you think is like maybe the number one sign that somebody might have them? Is there like a key giveaway or like anything?
Cravings.
Yeah.
Cravings a huge one. Sugar cravings, starch cravings. That's usually more like candida overgrowth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we have like, we're supposed to have candida within our system. A certain amount of candida is healthy, but it's very, very easy for it to overgrow. Like, especially if someone's doing a lot of pasta, a lot of refined sugars, and what happens is the candida will just take over. So usually if someone has brain fog, if they're tired, they have a lot of cravings for sugar and starchy foods, that's a dead giveaway. Chronic aches and pains. But also, anyone who has an autoimmune condition.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Cancer. Huge parasite load.
You think a lot of times it is?
Always.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I've heard that. I think it was Dr. Ruth Heydrich. I recently interviewed her. I don't know if you know her. She was in Forks Over Knives. She's 89. She's pretty well known. She got diagnosed with breast cancer when she was 47, and she reversed it. It was stage 4. She reversed it with a plant-based diet. And I remember her I'm pretty sure it was her that brought that up in a recent interview, saying that she researched, like, when she realized it was that too. I think it was her. So excuse me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
I've watched Forks Over Knives a couple times.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who she was.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
So, wow, interesting. Okay. And for me, like I said, like the enemas were effective, and incorporating the foods and the herbs, and then just doing like a clean raw diet. For me, that is what worked to get rid of them.
Yeah, but I think it's good to do parasite cleanses yearly. Like, nobody thinks twice about getting oil changes for their car on a regular basis.
Yeah, good point. I agree with you.
Yeah. And most people are like, well, I've done a parasite cleanse. Like, how long ago was it? Oh, 2 years ago. I'm like, yeah, you're probably due for one.
Yeah. And how many different types? Like, are there a bunch of different types? I think so, based on what I've seen. And like, how big can they be, do you think?
Well, so a lot of them are microscopic, right? So sometimes when you're releasing parasites, you're not necessarily going to see them.
Wow.
Which is why I always ask people, like, really pay attention to how you feel, because if how you're feeling changes, then you know that something has shifted, right? But sometimes it's like, okay, so I'll tell a story. My fiance was, we all always do all these things together. It's
Yeah.
like if I embark on a protocol, although this one he's not doing this
The
whole,
juice cleanse. Yeah, we got to talk about your juice cleanse.
the
in a
whole
second.
juice thing he's not doing with me.
Yeah.
But that one I'm flying solo. But anyway, we were doing this parasite cleanse together, and he went to blow his nose and one came out.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
I've heard of that. I have heard that before.
Because you can get parasites in your
I would
brain.
lose
they
it. I
can
don't think
in
I
your
could handle that.
sinuses, and you got to get them out.
I've heard of people having them in their brain. It came out of his nose.
Yeah.
Like alive or dead. That's one
Dead,
thing. When I
dead.
released them, they were always dead.
Always
I don't think
dead.
I could handle it if it was alive.
Always dead. Yeah. But it's usually the worms that
That's
most people
weird.
can see. Worms people can see.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then sometimes if you do like a liver gallbladder flush, you may see them come out when you do the flush. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, my viewers, they are big into this topic because I posted in my Instagram stories and they have a lot of questions. So while I'm looking those up, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the juice cleanse. So you're on a juice cleanse right now?
I am.
Yeah. How's that going? Why are you doing it? And what are you expecting to get from it?
So I was traveling. We did a month-long road trip to LA,
Oh, nice.
through Arizona,
Yeah.
New Mexico, and back.
Yeah.
And I've been doing a lot of meditation on my own health. And I realized that until, probably the last 5 years, I had a lot of not great habits. You know, I had a lot of fast food and processed food and alcohol and all of these things. And to think that with I've done like a 14-day water fast.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I did my 6-month protocol. I did a 14-day water fast. Then I did 3 months of just fruit and herbs. And so I'm like, I think I need to go deeper. I've never done a long juice fast. Like I've done a 7-dayer, but I've never done anything longer than that. So now I'm like, I feel called to do a long juice fast. So I'm saying it's going to be 40 days. But it could be 90 days. I don't know.
What day are you on today again?
Today is only day 11.
Oh, what was I thinking it was 3? Day 11, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Not only, that's a lot.
Yeah. Just cruising along.
And how are you feeling?
I feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's good. You see, you came here from about an hour away, at least it probably took you, right? And see, you can do it even when you're traveling around. You came with your juices, right?
Yep.
You make it work.
So this one is like, it's juices, superfoods, and herbs.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing an herbal protocol as well. And then I'm finishing off the parasite cleanse that I've been doing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to finish that off. But yeah, I'm just like, I'm still working. I'm still exercising. I'm still like seeing my clients. I'm still doing all of the things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it just,
Exactly.
when you're not eating copious amounts of food, it just frees up all that energy that your body normally has to use for digestion for you to do other things. Right?
No, I did 37-day juice cleanse once. It was the best I ever felt. Like I did only juice for 37 days. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It's such a spiritual experience too.
Yeah.
You know, and I felt great. I had a lot of energy because I drank a lot. I didn't like fast on only a couple juices a day. Like I drank a lot. You know what I mean? If you're going to do only juice, I feel like it's important to drink a lot.
Yeah.
And then for the most case, and then you feel amazing.
Okay. So I found a new use for my champagne glasses.
Yeah.
Because we don't drink alcohol.
No, yeah, me too.
So I started making, Michael, my partner, he always makes us fresh pressed juice in the morning.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why it's easy for me to juice. I have somebody who does it for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? But after he's done, I usually ask him to juice some ginger and lemon. So we've been making like big shots of ginger and lemon. And
wow.
like, that's what I put in my champagne glass. And
Oh, I love it. That's great. Good for you. That's amazing.
New use for
And do you
champagne.
miss drinking or do you feel better without it?
You know what? I don't miss any of the stuff I used to do. Like, I haven't eaten animal products in so long. I don't even remember what they taste like.
I can't believe it's been 20 years. Wow. So
Yeah.
if people ask you, like, do you supplement B12? How do you
Nope.
get your nutrients if somebody asks you? Oh, you don't? Wow.
I don't supplement B12. I don't
Nope.
take any supplements. I have superfoods and I use some herbs, but yeah, no,
Do you check your blood work? Like your B12 is good?
yeah, my B12 is great.
That's good.
Actually,
And like you feel good. That's important to pay attention to how you feel.
funny story. We lived in Mexico for 6 months a couple years back, and we were doing some, weird holistic stuff, because we're always doing stuff.
Yeah.
And we needed to get blood work done before we did it. So our blood work was done, and there was another couple who was all carnivore, and their blood work was done. And the person that we were working with said to us, "Oh, your blood work outshone theirs."
Wow.
I'm like, of course it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how people do carnivore long term.
Yeah.
Like,
So, yeah.
or any term. Like it's not for me to just eat meat like all the time, but I don't know how, like on a health level, how it works long term. I've interviewed like long term super healthy people, like a doctor in his 90s, and he was like, I see why it works short term, because people are like removing a lot of the processed food and removing a lot of things. But then he's like, it's not going to work like long term. I don't see how that can work. I see a lot of YouTube videos pop up on my feed that are like, oh, I was carnivore for a while and my cholesterol's through the roof. There's a problem with my heart.
But
I don't know. People have to be careful.
The reason is it's still a high acid forming diet. And so when you have that much acid in your system, your body has to take, like, it's going to use either calcium or cholesterol to try to buffer the acid.
Yeah.
So for people who have high cholesterol, the body's using cholesterol, because cholesterol is a very alkaline nutrient in the body. So it's using cholesterol to buffer all the acids.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, like, I stopped eating animals for spiritual reasons, right? Like, I went off to go do my very first yoga teacher training 20 years ago. And the first precept of yoga is nonviolence. And so I was like, okay, in what ways do I contribute to violence? And I looked at my plate and I was like, well, I don't do the killing, but I pay someone secondhand to do the killing for me. So then I went to the library and the bookstore and got a bunch of books and was like, oh, I can just live only on plants. Okay. I mean, I was raised vegetarian and then I ate meat for a few years, and then I was like, oh, okay. I never liked the taste of it, and I don't remember what it tastes like.
That's good. 20 years. Yeah.
I never really got into milk.
Yeah. That's good. All the hormones, right?
Yeah.
It's not meant for us. All these hormones. Yeah. It's meant to turn a baby calf into a huge cow.
Like a 500-pound animal.
Loaded with hormones, right?
Yeah.
So
Growth
it's like,
hormones.
think what those hormones could do to the body.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so easy to replace it these days with plant-based milks. And if you don't want to be like super clean raw vegan, there's different vegan cheeses you can get and all these different things, right?
Yeah. There's so many options these days. And so, the work of Dr. Neil Barnard. And
yeah, he's been on the channel before. Yeah. He's great.
So he talks about how having young girls on cow's milk could be like, girls are, hitting puberty sooner than they were in past generations. And if they are raised on cow's milk, it can actually not only, get them to puberty faster, but it can actually be a precursor to breast cancer. Well, because it's growth hormones, right? And Dr. T. Colin Campbell says something similar in terms of the casein in milk and what it does in the human body. So we're not supposed to be having it, right?
No, I agree 100%.
Yeah. So anyway, all my stuff that I used to have, like, Doritos and Coca-Cola and fast food, like, I don't crave any of that stuff anymore.
It's not even food now.
I don't look at it as food.
No, me too. Same with those old things I used to have. Your gut changes when you start eating the healthier foods,
Yeah.
Because for someone who eats all those foods still, they might think, oh, I don't know if I can do it. Like, those foods just don't taste good. But once you start eating more of those foods, they do taste better. You crave them more. Like, you crave what's in you, right? If you're eating crap, you're going to just crave more crap.
Well, because you're feeding the microbes that are craving that stuff.
Yeah.
So if you feed different microbes, then the microbes turn over, and you've got a whole new set of guys in there that want the healthy stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's just that making that mental shift of like, hey, this is not food. This is food. And also making that behavioral That's the word, shift of like being willing to change your behaviors.
Yeah,
right?
true.
Being like not so attached. Like people have a lot of addictions to food. They have a lot of attachments. And as long as they have those attachments, it's hard. But like I'm one of those people, like I walked in here with my juice. I have no problem going into any situation coming with my stuff. Right? Like
Me too, yeah.
you know, I'm going to be having brunch with my friends on Sunday, and I'm going to be having juice while everyone around me is eating. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing something for me, you know?
Totally. Well, okay, so I pulled up some of these viewers' questions.
Okay.
The first question, somebody said pets have parasites, doorknobs have parasites. Are we meant to coexist with the worms? So that's a good question. Like, are we meant to just have them and, you know, are we all freaking out, like, get them out of me? But is it just are we meant to just have them in us and around us?
Well, we have microorganisms within us, right? We have bacteria, protozoa, viruses, like we have all kinds of microbes within us. The problem only becomes when they are creating symptomology within the body that isn't pleasant, right? So if you're dealing with brain fog, if you're dealing with fatigue, if your joints are hurting, if you're dealing with an autoimmune condition, that's not a normal situation. So yes, you have to do something in that situation. You can't just ignore them and be like, okay, we're just going to like coexist together. Right? Like,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you're
totally.
suffering.
In that case, good answer. Yeah, that's right. And okay, somebody said, how do we know if we have them? Well, we touched on that a bit in the symptoms. I don't think, unless there's anything you want to expand on that, but.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has parasites, so there's nothing to get freaked out about. And the symptoms that you want to be looking out for is just like, you know, fatigue, brain fog, just aches and pains, even sinus like issues can be related to parasites. So just being on the
Or maybe what about digestion?
Digestion for sure. Gas,
Yeah.
bloating, constipation, diarrhea on the other hand, it can also be related to parasites. So psoriasis, like any autoimmune condition, there's a parasite component that you have to look at.
Wow, interesting. Okay. Somebody said, how long can it take to fully get rid of them? How common are they? Is it really 1 in 3 people?
It's 100% of all people.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of believe that now, but I mean, I don't know, but.
And how long it takes it really depends on the person and the situation, you know, like, and how long it's been since they've done a parasite cleanse. If they've never done a parasite cleanse, then I always suggest like first time, like let's gradually go from like a gentle to kind of like a medium to something more intense. And there's breaks between the different cleanses. Like I don't go back to back to back.
No.
So I'll do like a gentle, and then we're going to have like a pause for a month or 6 weeks. And then we'll go into round 2. And that might be a longer protocol, and then we'll hit pause again, and then we'll do something like later in the year. If someone has, say, mold, there's a whole bunch of things going on, right?
Really?
Within the body.
Like if they've had mold exposure, you mean?
If they've had mold exposure, it can be a 2-year or longer process. I spoke with someone last week actually, and she's been exposed to mold since she was 3.
Wow.
She's in her 50s. She's been on various protocols, not like intense protocols all the time. Like the way that I like to work is we'll do a period of like, say 90 days, right? And then we'll just kind of go into maintenance, like, you know, keep with the good habits, try not to slip into the habits that aren't helpful. And
that's
then
wise advice.
When you feel ready, you go into another protocol, because that's how I am. Like as I work on my own health, like my health is really great, but I'm always curious, you know, now I'm in like the biohacking phase of my life where I want to like reverse age and see what my body is capable of. And so I just intuitively will be like, okay, I'm ready to do another protocol. And then I'll think about it and go, okay, how long do I want to do it for? And then I'll like do it, and then I'll take a pause again, and then I'll go back.
Yeah.
Right?
And how old are you, if you don't mind me asking? We can cut it out if you don't want me to ask.
I'm in my 40s.
You look good.
Thank you.
Yeah, you look amazing.
Thanks.
Wow. Any anti-aging hacks that you've come across with this biohacking?
Lots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe like top 3 that come to mind?
Molecular hydrogen, redox, and
What is this?
molecular hydrogen. Oh, this is awesome.
And redox. I don't know what that is.
Okay. This all has to do with our cells. When our cells make ATP, which is energy,
Yeah.
the byproduct is redox molecules.
Okay.
So it used to be thought that it was just junk molecules. Well, turns out they're not junk molecules. They help communication between your cells. And once we go past the age of puberty, there's less and less of them. Your body makes less and less. And so what redox, I guess officially redox is the only supplement that I do take. It's a liquid that I drink every day, and it helps restore that communication. Molecular hydrogen, I've been researching this since last summer. I was actually invited to be on a call from a cancer center in Mexico. I don't even know how they got on. I got on their email list, but I went to the call and I was completely blown away by what molecular hydrogen can do in the body.
Wow.
There's 2,000 studies done on it. And so hydrogen is the smallest molecule, and it's part of nature. We're made of hydrogen. And so it has the ability to penetrate into all of our cells, and it can cross the blood-brain barrier, which is really, really cool, because what it does in the body is it upregulates our mitochondria. It upregulates our NRF2 pathway. It upregulates 500 genes. So it's an amazing way to help support health in your body. And the cool thing about it is, because it's native to our body, it's non-toxic, right?
Wow.
So I drink molecular hydrogen water every single day. It's the only water I drink. And then I have my juices and I have my superfoods.
Okay, I gotta get into that.
Those are some of my biohacks.
Yeah. Sleep. That's a huge one.
Meditation.
And eating the right foods.
Eating
meditation.
is huge. Yeah. Your diet is massive in terms of skin health. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
For sure. Somebody said, this is my current journey. I am wondering how long it took for you to cleanse. Did I ask you that already? I don't think so, but.
No, you didn't ask me, but how long has it taken?
You said you do 3-month intervals and.
Yeah. I mean, the first time I went deep, I did a 6-month protocol.
Yeah.
But now I kind of do 3-month intervals. Yeah. Basically. Okay. And I mean, I guess now I'm currently on a 3-month protocol. Yeah. And you can't do it continuously, right? Because it just gets exhausting. So for me, it's anytime I feel this is too much and I'm I just need a break, I just come out of the protocol and I go into maintenance mode for a while, and then I go back in.
Okay. And somebody said, are binders necessary? If so, which ones to use? Charcoal, bentonite, psyllium, or I forget how to pronounce that word.
I know which one you mean.
Diatimos. Somebody tell me down below. Diamotasis. I know. I can't pronounce it.
Binders are always helpful.
Okay.
Right? Especially if someone's system is really toxic. So the person that I was sharing about that has the mold, it's her system is so toxic still, even though she's been doing protocols for over 4 years, she always has to use binders, right? The binders help for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And is it true that liver flukes deplete B12? I've expelled about 100 flukes after Hulda Clark's liver flush.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, parasites, you have to understand that parasites can eat certain nutrients, like for example, B6 or magnesium, depending on what parasite you're dealing with. And they also feed on heavy metals. So sometimes when people come to me with say that they're oh, I have an iron deficiency, immediately I'm thinking, well, could it be parasites? if someone mentions like a whole bunch of deficiencies, what I'm looking for is what's going on with their gut, because maybe it's an absorption issue or maybe it's a parasite issue. So then I have like this 10-page health questionnaire and kind of go based on the questionnaire and what their symptoms are to kind of figure out what's going on.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And someone said, can diet or cleanse remove parasites? Well, yeah, it does,
Yes.
right? Like, I know I mentioned the foods that were really helpful for me, like the pumpkin seeds, pineapples, the garlic, the onion. I forget, I had a couple more foods, but any other foods you want to add to that list?
Papaya seeds.
Oh yeah, papaya seeds.
Yeah. But it's also important that it is really, really important to bring in herbs as well, because the foods alone won't do it, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes certain foods can be really, really harsh too in the system, like depending on how somebody's doing it.
Okay.
Right. And it's good to rotate. Like I always rotate my parasite protocols. I don't do the same one over and over and over again.
Smart.
Right.
Yeah.
They never know what's coming.
No. Us against them, right? Yes. Somebody said, is it possible to eliminate them all forever? I guess not, based on what you said before. Or we'll always have their eggs inside us to an extent.
No, you can get rid of the eggs.
You can?
Yeah, because if you leave the eggs, then they'll mature and then there'll be more parasites.
Yeah.
You can, yeah, there's a way to time it so that what's happening is like with certain parasites, as they're being flushed out, they're leaving the eggs. But if you time it properly, then you can do a second round and get rid of the eggs before they hatch.
Yeah. Okay. And one girl said, I know her, she said parasite fear mongering to sell products. I think some people don't think that parasites are real. I 100,000% do, just based on my experience. Like I have a million pictures in my phone of what I've seen coming out of me. So I definitely, I can understand people. Maybe it's better. Some people just think that way though, because maybe it's better to just live and ignore them in a way. Like if you're healthy, obviously if you're, just ignorance is bliss, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you start to do a cleanse and you see them coming out, it can really trip you up. When I first had this happen, like I'm telling you, I couldn't sleep, right? But then I'm glad it happened. It made me stronger. It made me tougher. Like you get over it and then you're just like, whatever, right?
I mean, if the parasites aren't bothering this person and they can peacefully coexist with the parasites, then more power to them.
Okay. And somebody said that parasite protocols, so that was the same girl, are ridiculously pricey. So like any ways you think people can do it on a budget, how to tackle this?
Yeah, there's ways to do it on a budget.
Yeah.
I work with people with all kinds of budgets, right?
Yeah.
But it also, here's the other thing. It also depends on the person and what's going on with their health.
Yeah.
Right? Like someone who has Lyme or mold, like, it's going to take a lot of work, And as someone who, like, I've spent way more on my protocols and my health than I've never even charged any client anywhere close to what I've spent, And some of it was...
But it's probably been a good investment for you, right? You're glad you did.
I'm glad I did, but I also, like, what got me on this road and what got me on this journey to become a practitioner was I realized there's so many people in the health space that are woefully unequipped to deal with certain situations.
Yeah.
And I went to multiple naturopaths. I went to multiple doctors. I spent a lot of money doing a lot of things that did not work, like vitamin IV infusions and all kinds of nonsense.
You think those are nonsense? Yeah. I did one of those a couple months ago for the first time. I never felt better in my life.
But it's so temporary.
Yeah, it is very temporary.
Yeah.
Last like 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just...
But I was like, whoa. Because I saw all these influencers, all these people like doing it, talking about it. Yeah, but it is temporary. You're right.
So
yeah,
it's better to just upgrade the daily habits.
True. It is. Yeah.
And like there's ways to like biohack your day to day so that your body's feeling better and you just feel good all the time. Like, I mean, I thought about it. I probably spend less money now than what I used to spend because I don't spend my money on certain things.
Yeah.
I've invested in things that I know work.
True.
And I've done a lot of research and the stuff that I tried that didn't work, it got me frustrated and I wasted a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, everything, you know, we live in this society where money is currency and it's a means of exchange.
Yeah.
But there's ways to do things within certain budgets. And there's also like, there's people who go to Starbucks every day, you know, and I used to go to Starbucks every day. I don't go to Starbucks anymore. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've taken my Starbucks money and invested it in smarter places.
Yeah. It's a good investment, you know?
Yeah.
Longer lifespan, healthier days, feeling amazing. Is there anything else on the parasite topic that you think we missed that's like a big thing, or anything that comes to mind that you want to share?
Well, I don't want people to be scared.
Yeah.
You know, like
that's a good
having parasites, like it's more important to be proactive, right? And to really look at your diet and to look at your lifestyle. That's the first place to start, and really look at how you feel. Like if you don't feel good in your body, that's not normal.
No.
If you're dealing with a diagnosis, that's not normal. If you're medicated, that's not normal, right? We've normalized all these things, and it's really important to take your health back, right? And to feel good in your body. It's possible.
Yeah, it is possible.
Yeah.
I feel so good in my body. I didn't used to. Just changing how I eat, you know, it's crazy. And I think a lot of people don't even realize how good it feels to feel good. Like you don't even get it until you do it. Like I had no idea how good I could actually feel being healthy, you know? So I get how they're not very motivated, some people, because they're like, oh, it can't be much of a difference. But for me, it's massive.
a massive difference.
Yeah.
It's
you just
like,
have to get through those craving periods, right? And through the tough time to get there.
You got to get through the cravings. And to me, the best way you can love yourself is to be your healthiest version. That to me is self-love. Self-love is not about getting your nails done and hair done and makeup done. I mean, good on you if you're doing that.
Yeah.
But self-love is really loving yourself enough to parent yourself and be like, you know what? I need to eat healthier. I want to feel good, you know, and being willing to make those changes. And eventually, maybe one day, you'll get to a place where you won't want those things anymore.
You will. Yeah.
You know?
Probably.
So I haven't had a drink in over 3 years. I can't even remember how long it's been.
Me too. I don't drink either.
And
I used to drink every day, my whole 20s and early 30s, every day. I was like an alcoholic.
Committed.
Yeah. But I didn't think I was, because it was so normalized. Because that's how I grew up. Like the parents would drink with us, and like it was just normal, right? Like my mom never had a problem with alcoholism, but a lot of my friends' parents were, and then I became one, and I didn't think I was functioning, right? Because I was a real estate agent still working, but I needed it, or I would have withdrawal symptoms and get like anxiety, headaches. Yeah. It's not normal. No. It's so toxic. So it's just like a wave. I'd rather be sipping on my smoothie, right?
When people ask me about alcohol, because I get this question all the time, I'm like, it's literally poison.
Yeah.
Like it's so toxic to your body that your liver, that has 500 other jobs to do, drops everything that it's doing to get the alcohol out of your system. That's how toxic it is.
It's crazy.
So, and a lot of things that are normalized in society, just because it's normalized doesn't mean it's good for you.
No.
Right?
That's what I've learned over the last few years.
You know, you go outside, there's advertising for fast food restaurants everywhere. You turn on TV. I don't watch TV personally, but like the odd time my guy is watching the hockey game and the commercials come on, it's like, it's always beer, potato chips, you know, like burgers, chicken wings, like those are the commercials.
I wonder if it'll ever change.
You know,
I hope so.
I don't think it'll change because there's so much money in it, right? Like and
it's addictive. Like these things are like made to be addictive, right?
They are.
So
actually, a long time ago, way before I ever thought that I would do this for work.
Yeah.
I read a book, and I wish I had kept it, but it was called Fat, Sugar, Salt. If anybody comes across that book, please send it to me. I gave it away, unfortunately, when I moved from Vancouver. And it was an expose on the processed food industry and how the processed food industry literally spends millions of dollars to manipulate those 3 ingredients, fat, sugar, salt,
Oh yeah.
to get people addicted to the quote unquote the foods. I don't consider those things to be foods. I call them frankenfoods, but they get everybody addicted. And so people have a hard time quitting those foods because they're literally addicted. It's no different than being addicted to alcohol, to cigarettes.
No, and these foods don't even break down. I saw somebody took a McDonald's, like a fast food meal, and they put it in a box for like 24 years or something.
Yeah,
It might have been 20. I don't know if you saw this on Instagram. It didn't even
I think I might have
barely
remixed that reel.
change. I'm just like, how does that's crazy? But then you see like an avocado and it's done in like an hour. Like, you know what I mean? Like real food breaks down, right?
It should break down.
Should break down.
And then what happens in your body is your body literally doesn't know what to do with any of that stuff. And so it's like taking it and sticking it into fat cells, and it's like putting a lot of toxicity on the liver, like putting a lot of stress on the liver, and your GI system can't break it down. Like it's just a disaster for your body. It's a
disaster. We got to get healthy. We got to sleep better. We got to cleanse sometimes and live a better life. Well, anything else you want to share to end off with? Anything that comes to mind at all? And let everybody know where they can find you too, if they want to work with you or follow you.
They can find me on Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm easy to find. I'm my first and last name. And I have a Facebook page as well, and my website. I have a membership where I walk people through, especially people who are dealing with like parasites and multiple autoimmune conditions, multiple health issues. Like a lot of people that come to me, it's like not one thing. It's like Hashimoto's and type 2 and diabetes and high cholesterol. It's like all these things. So I have a membership where I walk people through the protocol step by step by step.
That's cool.
We do live monthly calls and Q&As.
That's good.
And then they can work with me one-on-one because some people still prefer that.
Yeah.
And that's an option as well.
Amazing.
And I guess my final parting words is that love yourself enough to get healthy.
I love that. It's so true. Well, this has been amazing. It's been nice getting to know you, hearing your stories, hearing all your wisdom, your knowledge, your advice. I appreciate it. I'm sure you guys appreciate it as well. If it added some value, give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe for more. And I'll link everything down below as well so people can go follow you.
All right.
Yeah. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Thanks for having me.